Rightio everyone, welcome back to another video. As you can see here, I'm going to be reacting to my AFL 2022 season predictions. I'm a bit late to the party. I was going to hold off and wait until Port Adelaide completed their Best and Fairest award. However, that's not going to happen until December 5th, I recently found out, so I decided to make it now rather than December 5th. The reason I did that was because I did actually tip every club's best and fairest in this video, but I think it's fairly safe to say we know Connor Rosie's going to win the best and fairest report. But yeah, anyway, let's get into the actual predictions here, what we are actually here for.
2022 predictions. Start things off with my wooden.
So, not a bad tip to start things off with. West Coast obviously finished 17th with a record of only 2 wins and 20 losses. I tipped them to finish last. I knew they had a whole stack of injuries at the start of the year. They were probably the worst team of the second half of 2021 as well, so that basically contributed to why I tipped the Eagles last. I didn't realise how bad their COVID problem was at the start of the year, so I didn't really take that into too much consideration, but I knew they still had heaps of injuries. To be honest, when West Coast didn't finish last, kind of annoyed me because, I mean, who finishes anything but last with a record of 2 wins and 20 losses? Last time that happened was Melbourne in 2013. That was only because GWS were in their second year of existence and were playing with a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds. So their best and fairest and leading goal kicker I got fairly off. Best and fairest was Tom Barrass, and leading goal scorer was Josh Kennedy. Allen didn't even play a game. I knew he was injured, but I didn't realise he'd be out for the whole season. But yes, you know what? I'll take this one to start off with. Not bad.
So shit. Up next in 17th.
This one wasn't such a good call. 17th, I had the Suns. I mean, I feel like most people had them around this mark. They well and truly exceeded my expectations this year. They finished 12th. Yes, there's not much to say here. I really thought that Ben King injury was pretty much the end of the Suns' existence, almost, just about. But they seem like they're going in the right direction finally after 12 years of doing nothing. But anyway, best and fairest winner, Tuke Miller. That was pretty obviously going to happen. Leading goal scorer, I tipped Alex Sexton. He hardly played a game, although he did kick 6 in the last round, so there's something. At least Marbia Cho was obviously their leading goal scorer with 44, I think. But yeah, this one, 5 spots off. Not a horrendous call, but yeah, could have definitely been a lot better.
In 16th.
Alright, this one's much like the Gold Coast one. It's a pretty ordinary call, but I thought Hawthorn would be a lot worse this year. They got off to a really hot start. In fact, I think after round 2 they were on top of the ladder. They fell away in the end, but still showed sparks of improvement. And if it weren't for their horrendous trade period, I think I'd be tipping them a lot higher next year. But yeah, not much to say here. Mitch Lewis was their leading goal scorer and James Sicily was their best and fairest winner, so I didn't get either of those right. But yeah, Hawthorn 16th. I was 3 spots off.
Too many good players at all, honestly. In 15th.
Probably my worst call so far, although this was a pretty... I mean, most people tipped this to happen. Collingwood to finish bottom 4. I had them 15th. A lot of people had them wooden spooners, so at least I didn't do that. But yeah, Collingwood, what more can I say? They finished 4th, only lost a preliminary final by 1 point. Had one of the most remarkable seasons I've ever seen. They won, 11 games by under a goal or under 10 points, and lost a couple of those in final series. Incredible season from Collingwood. Will they back it up next year? We'll have to wait and see, but this is definitely my worst score so far, but again, most people had them finishing bottom 4, so I'm not going to give myself too much for that.
Good, but slight improvement from last season. In 14th spot, I've got...
Okay, so obviously Collingwood I got way more off, at least ladder position wise, than this one, but I think this is arguably a worse call. I really did think North Melbourne would actually improve this year. They made some okay recruits at the start of the year. They got Hugh Greenwood, who was a pretty good player for the Suns before he got traded. They got Callum Coleman-Jones, who showed some glimpses beforehand this year. Neither of those players really did that much at all. Especially Callum Coleman-Jones. I don't know what happened to him. He completely disappeared off the face of the earth. But they also got themselves out of debt. So their club just seemed to be going in the right direction, but turns out it wasn't the case at all. They had an even worse year than last year, so that's 2 wooden spoons in a row. Potentially could win another one again next year. Not win, but yeah. 2 wins, 20 losses, 55%. Terrible season. That's one of the worst seasons I've ever seen any club have since watching the AFL. Yeah, at least I got their leading goal scorer and best and fairest winners right.
They'll be on the up in 2022 for sure. Alright, up next in 13th spot, I've got...
Not a terrible call. In fact, it's only 1 spot off. I saw a lot of people tipping Adelaide bottom 2, bottom 4 wooden spooners. I thought they showed some flashes last year. Despite having the youngest team, I thought they definitely weren't the worst team, and they showed that this year. Got off to a good start, and even when they did have a bit of a form slump, they were remaining competitive. They finished 1 spot lower than I had predicted them, but you know, I'll take that. It's only 1 spot off. That's probably one of my better calls so far, along with the West Coast Eagles one.
In 12th spot, another controversy.
I'm fairly happy with this one. I saw a lot of people tip GWS to finish in the top 8. I thought they were quite overrated this year, despite finishing finalists in 2021 and actually winning a final. I thought Toby Green for the first 5 rounds being out would hurt them a lot. It did. They got off to a terrible start. Started off the season 1 win and 5 losses. Yeah, just very, very bad season for them. They finished 16th, so I was 4 spots off, but like I said, a lot of people had GWS finishing a lot higher. And from all of the prediction videos I've seen for this year, this was probably the lowest anyone had them, so I'll take that. I'll take that for sure. Best and fairest winner, Josh Kelly, didn't happen. Almost happened, but Sam Taylor got it done. Harry Himmelberg was a key back for most of the year, so that was never going to happen.
I think that was out. In 11th place,
Carlton in 11th spot. This call seems a lot... It feels like I got it way further off than I actually did, because in reality they finished 9th, but they were in the 8 for pretty much the entire... In fact, for 22 rounds they were in the top 8, and it was just they choked at the end, despite having a 4-goal lead against the Collingwood at 3. Yeah, that was one of the most unbelievable chokes I think I've ever seen. But yeah, again, you know what? I think I'll take this, but it feels a lot worse than it actually is in reality. Best and fairest winner, Patrick Cripps. I thought he'd get back to his best, and he did. Mackay, well, I didn't see the comeback of Curnow coming. I mean, I thought he'd be decent, but not Coleman medal winning. Yeah, I think it's remarkable how Carlton now have 2 Coleman medalists and a Brownlow medalist in their team and still didn't make finals. That's Carlton for you.
But I just don't trust them enough. Alright, next up I've got the
A bit of a ordinary call, this one. Richmond finished in the finals. They obviously, I didn't tip them to make finals. I thought, yeah, this was pretty much the end of their dynasty, their period of dominance. But they showed this year that they can actually potentially contend for at least another couple of years. I don't think they'll be winning another premiership, but at least they're in the mix, contending for it. Yeah, this is, I think, I haven't really had too many absolute stinking calls so far, apart from maybe that North Melbourne one. This was probably one of the worst calls I had. But it's not the worst. Tom Lynch, I got that right for leading goal scorer. He also was their best and fairest. Although my goals tally for him was way off. He kicked 63 goals for the year. But yeah, Richmond, 3 spots off.
Up next in 9th.
Essendon, 9th spot. They finished a lot lower than 9th. They finished 15th. I should have seen it coming. Essendon are just a roller coaster of a team. They finished top 8 one year, finished bottom 4 the next. That's just the cycle of Essendon at this point. Good thing I didn't have them making the finals. So yeah, this was pretty ordinary considering it's 6 spots off, but again, at least I didn't have them making finals. That would have been even worse.
Starting off the top 8.
How this team didn't make top 8, I don't know. They looked almost a certainty in the first half of the year. They looked like a chance at making top 4, and then they completely fell off in the second half of the year. Their list is, I think it should... They made finals a couple of years ago, and I don't know why they haven't been able to back it up, to be honest. I think their list is kind of underrated, but they just... they haven't made finals 2 years in a row, so maybe it isn't underrated. Maybe I'm just overrating them. But yeah, St Kilda, they are the definition of mid. They are such a mid team. It is unbelievable. Honestly, they are in absolute no man's land, and I don't know. Maybe Ross Lyon, their new coach. Well, I don't even know if he's been officially appointed yet, but
I think they can make the 8. My second new team making the 8 this year.
Not bad. Fremantle did finish in the 8. They finished 5th, just missing out on a top 4 spot. Yeah, they were big improvers this year. I thought they would improve, and they did. They improved even more than I thought they would, actually. But yeah, pretty good season for the Fremantle Dockers. What else more can I say? I'm fairly happy with this prediction. Andrew Brayshaw, that was pretty obviously going to happen. Matt Tabner, he would have won. He would have been their leading goal kicker if he wasn't injured. Yeah, he looked like he was in really good form at one stage. He kicked 7 against Essendon, but yeah, just always seems to be out injured for some reason.
Fremantle in 7th place. Next up, we've got a team.
This is an ordinary one. Geelong in 6th spot. Obviously, they won the grand final by 81 points against my mob. And they finished minor premiers by 2 games. What more can I say? I thought they were a bit too old. I thought they were a bit too slow, and it turns out they were just too good.
In 5th place, I've got...
Yeah, fairly happy with this call. 2 spots off. Sydney, my team. I thought we would just kind of more or less be the same as we were last year. We definitely did improve. Although that crushing grand final defeat probably could send us back down the ladder a bit. Hopefully it doesn't. I think it probably will, though. Yeah. As for our best and fairest, that was obviously won by Callum Mills. Lance Franklin was our leading goal scorer this year, so I got that right. Yeah, I'm happy with this one.
starting off the...
Similar to Collingwood, I'm not going to bash myself too much for this, because most people had what I'd laid top 4 or around about that mark. Obviously, they didn't make finals. Yeah, that obviously, I guess that preliminary final loss by 71 points against the Bulldogs did really hurt them, because they were not the same team this year as they were in 2021 and 2020. Yeah, not a good call. This one was, 7 spots off, so not quite as much as the Collingwood one, but considering how many people tipped them to finish top 4 this year, I don't think it's my worst call so far in this predictions video.
Top 4. Next up, in 3rd spot...
This is not a good call. I don't know why I tipped them to finish so high, especially after their crushing grand final. Teams never recover well from big grand final losses. I don't know why I thought this would be any different. And it wasn't any different. I thought they'd be like one of the best teams. They ended up not being one of the best teams. They were so lucky to make finals. They did not deserve to make finals at all. I thought Aaron Norton could really have a breakout year. And to be fair, he did, but he didn't quite meet my expectations of 72 goals in the home and away season. I went a bit overboard there. Marcus Bontempelli had a bit of a down year, although still good by most players' standards, like averaged a goal and 23 disposals a game or something. Obviously, their best and fairest winner, Josh Dunkley, is now at the Brisbane Lions, so that's not good for them. But yeah, pretty ordinary call, this one.
Slightly better season than the Bulldogs. Second.
Alright, so this is my first one that I got actually spot on. I'm not going to give myself too much credit for this one. This is a pretty obvious tip, I think. It was either first or second for the Demons. You weren't really going to place them any lower. They finished second. I just decided not to tip them first on the basis that they'd already won a minor premiership, and going back-to-back minor premiers is not an easy thing to do. So yeah, Melbourne finished second. What more can I say?
To do. And finally, it is time.
Brisbane finishing first didn't happen. They finished 6th, although arguably did improve this year, considering they actually won a game at the MCG, and they actually won a final at the MCG, which is something they haven't done in so long. So arguably they did improve. They even won a couple of finals in the end, so I think they're in good hands going forward. Joe Danaher, their leading goal scorer, didn't happen. Probably would have if he didn't get injured. Best and fairest, Hugh McCluggage. Lachie Neale got back to his best. I probably should have just tipped Lachie Neale. That was a fairly obvious one for that. But yeah, I was 5 spots off with this one, but I don't think it's that bad.
Well, I just went over my minor premiers, and now I'm going to go over my major premiers, the Bulldogs.
Why did I do this? They were never going to win the grand final. I mean, they just... Why? They lost the grand final by 74 points. You don't just... I don't... Yeah, that was just stupid.
So that's my tip for that. Time to get in.
Well, that obviously didn't happen because the Bulldogs didn't even make the grand final.
Now, since up next I've got the Coleman medal winner being Aaron Norton.
That didn't happen, although to be fair, it wasn't the worst call in the world. He definitely did have an improved season. He kicked 51 goals in the home and away season. It was something that could have happened, but it just... Obviously it didn't. Charlie Curnow, I don't think many people would have tipped that to happen.
Prime for no Bruce, so it will be the opportunity to break out. So my Brownlow...
That obviously didn't happen. Jack Steele was injured for a good part of the season. If he wasn't injured, then maybe he could have at least come close. I still don't think he probably would have won it though.
It's probably the most unpredictable of all.
Rising Star didn't happen either, so I've got none of these awards so far, and well, not the best season for Jason Tolofrancis. He's no longer even at North Melbourne. Yeah.
I've got Jake's play. This is my.
Finally got one right. Surprise All-Australian, Isaac Heaney. That did happen, although I don't know if this even would have been considered a surprise All-Australian. So, I mean, I guess I'll give that one to me, but bit of a... I went a bit on the safe side for this one, if I'm being honest. And that'll wrap it up, I believe. I don't think I did yet. So that is it for my predictions. For my predictions reactions. Like I said, I was a bit late on this one, but better late than never. My best call was probably, well, if you're talking about ladder positions, it'd be Melbourne. I think if I were to, I think I'd give myself the West Coast Eagles one as my best call, because they were seriously lucky not to finish last with 2 wins and 20 losses. So yeah, I'll say that's my best one. My worst one, probably Bulldogs Premiers. There was no logical reason why that would have ever happened. But anyway, that'll wrap up today's video. Hope you did enjoy. I'll probably be doing a 2023 season prediction soon. And then I'll do one after the fixture's out next year as we're leading up. So yeah, I'll do an early predictions in the coming weeks, and then when the season's about to start next year, I'll do another one, obviously. But yeah, there's probably not a lot of footy content left on the channel, at least for this year. Maybe I'll do some AFLW content, we'll see. But for now, that'll be it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.